Okay, so hello and welcome everyone. So I'm going to get into um, speaking to you about my experience with my incarnation reading and the enlightenment in which that it brought me. So at one point in time, I was a part of the Pan-African religion, and I studied very closely under a priest. And uh, they were giving, I can't remember what it was, but he had one of his people come from DC to give out incarnation readings. And when I got my incarnation reading, I had pulled a lot of cards of a deity, and her name is Het Haru. She's also known as Oshun in the Orishas. Um, so, when I got my reading, the guy, he told me that until I cleanse and get rid of the spoiled inside of me, then that's when I will come into purpose. Okay. So I said to myself, well, what does that mean? Spoil. What's spoiled inside of me? Right? So the issue was sex. Okay. Because Het Haru, she's the deity of sensuality, art, dancing. It's almost kind of like the planet Venus. Okay. So that's a lot of what she represents. And there's a story about all of the deities, and it's constructed in the tree of life, the different deities and stuff. So um, I asked him, I asked the priest that I was studying under, I said, can you give me a little bit of the story? Because he never told me the story about Set and then Offset being brothers. And Set killed his brother and chopped him up into little pieces and scurried all of his body parts all over the desert. So, shit, it's been so long. I hate talking about stuff and not being 100% accurate, but because I don't even know if it was Offset. I'm trying to think, it was Offset his wife, or was it Tahuti? But let's just say the wife. I'm just going to say the wife of Offset, right? So she went out on a journey through the desert to find her husband's body parts. Okay, so she gathered his body parts and she went to Het Haru. Het Haru was a spiritual worker as well. So they put his body parts together on a table, and Het Haru had erected him. So she was known for being able to erect the dead. Okay, that's a part of her sexuality, and a part of her abilities when it comes to sensuality. So the wife, once Het Haru erected this dead man, his wife sat on top of him and had sex with him, and she was impregnated, and I believe that's where Hiru came from. So Hiru is pretty much kind of like Jesus in the Bible, or whatever. So for a long time, I just couldn't understand. It took me years to figure out what that guy meant by me being spoiled. So I had got an angel reading by one of my friends, and the sexuality card came out, and I'm just like, well, I don't know why that card keep coming out. so so he read me for filth. He was a good reader. He was very honest. He was just like, when you stop doing this, he says that you're going to find the contentment in the relationship in which that you desire, that is meant for you. So I'm just like, so you're trying to say like I have a problem with sex, like a sex addiction? He was just like, your sexuality in general. He pretty much didn't give me too many details about it. It wasn't until later on when I began to practice celibacy and then discovering myself intimately is when I put everything together. So and this was like 6 years in the making, ever since I got that reading. It took me 6 years to understand what that reading actually meant. And I wrote it down, you know. So, I mean, that's pretty much it, like, there's also, because Het Haru is a deity, she is worshipped. So a lot of the times, individuals who favor her, her goddess energy or her presence is of their ancestor. She is one of their ancestors. A lot of people will make altars, and on the altar, Het Haru loves honey. Okay, and so somebody tried to poison her through honey. So whenever you make an offering to her, her number one offering is honey. But the thing is that you have to taste the honey first to let her know that it's not poison. Because I have an incarnation to Heru, I used to ask myself, why didn't they ever find out who was the person that tried to poison her, right? Now, in this community, the Pan-African community, there are many other different religions. It was more so, I studied under the Pan-African, but it was a building that would house many different African religions, okay? And so there was another spot not too far away from the main spot. So I ventured off over there, you know, and I came across a mentor, okay? And I worked with this guy for a while. We we kind of had other dealings outside of, me learning from him and stuff like that. And our relationship was kind of like on and off, you know. I don't know. He just, I don't know. When in these types of communities, sometimes you meet people who are they're very committed and dedicated to a lifestyle and a purpose and a way of living. And so, of course, I had to respect that. I was a little bit of a hot girl with him, so I was guided to give space, to let go. You know what I mean? So that was the cause of the in and out. So I remember I had left for a long period of time. And I mean, he had my number, he knew how to contact me, but he was just very upset with me because, I mean, I don't know, like a lot of spirited people, they can be very easy to misunderstand, because I'm just like, well, you have my contact information. Anytime you want to see me, you can just hit me up, and I'll come see you. Like, it was kind of like I was always chasing after him. I was always making the effort towards going towards him, but I didn't see an issue with that because the purpose of our connection was for him and mentoring me. Okay, now he was very different. He was kind of like cast out from a lot of the different practices within this environment. They had a meeting, they had a lot of meeting, the Moorish community, okay, and the Muslims, not the Muslims, the Muslims, they would gather at this place, they would have meetings, they would have teachings, they would speak about the community and things in which that they're trying to accomplish with the government and all this type of stuff. And everybody looked at him very weird because, I mean, he was true to his craft. He would create copper jewelry, and he wore, you know, in these places, most people are dressed, like African. You know what I mean? Like, they're from Africa. The clothes. Everybody's wearing these dashikis and all this type of stuff. I mean, not the Moorish community, but you know, um, he was pretty much an outcast. But I mean, to me, he was a genius. He knew so much, and he was he was pretty like magical. Like the little things in which that he could do. So, um, I always felt like he shouldn't be there, but I mean, he was comfortable there. He was a ladies' man. He would perform Reiki. He would do massages. The way that he dressed, it was more Asian. So, and he would wear this like cone hat. So, people just saw him as being weird. I'm just like, he's an extraterrestrial. That's why I don't feel like he should be up in here. But hey, like, I'm pretty sure he knows what's best for him more than I do. Because I remember one day we were talking about something a little more serious, but he said that he had his village. I wasn't looking to be an add on to anybody's village. I was looking to start my own, you know, and I wanted my chief. And I chose him, but he declined, so it was okay. So there was a long period of time to where we didn't see each other, and he was very resentful towards me for that. And I didn't know, you know. During this time, I was a vegan, and it was a vegan cafe, and they would sell alkaline water. I wanted to say alkaline water. And I remember just that night going into that building, it was like I had stepped into a whole different reality. And the vibe was just weird. The Moors they were talking, I guess they were wrapping up their meeting. The owner who was at the cashier, her vibe was just so different. You know, when I saw my mentor there, he was so different too. Like, his vibe was different. Like, it was like he was mad, but I ignored it because I'm just like, what the fuck is he mad for? So I had asked him, I said, can I get some alkaline water? So I got a gallon of alkaline water. And from the time I was in there to the time I walked out, I'm just like, what's going on? Like, why do I feel like I'm somewhere else? Like, I'm in a different place. Like, what? I couldn't understand it. I thought I was under some type of hypnosis or something like that. So when I get in the car, I drank the water and I spit the water out. I said to myself, I said, he tried to poison me. He tried to poison me. So I thinking to myself, I'm just like, he tried to poison me. Why would I say he's trying to poison me? Because the thing is that when I was a vegan, all I ever drank was alkaline water. I know the taste of alkaline water, and I know the difference between faucet water. He gave me faucet water. So, it clicked to me. I'm just like, he tried to poison me. That's who tried to poison Het Haru, because it has always been a mystery as to who poisoned her. It was one of her mentors. Okay? So that's how I put that together. Of course, I never shared that with anybody. This is the first time that I'm ever sharing that. You see, a lot of things come to me and I keep it very secret. I just think that I'm supposed to. Okay, but whatever. So I want to go in and telling you a DMT ritual in which that I did at this place as well under this mentor. And he performed the ritual, and when it started to take effect, I found myself in the middle of a rye field. It was empty, but it was like a vision flashed very quickly, and it was nothing but a whole bunch of people, and it was all silhouettes. And then the image was erased from my mind, and all I could see was this rye field, and I'm standing in the middle of this rye field, and I can hear the ancestors speaking to me. It was like a choir, but it was one voice. It was one voice. Everybody was saying the same thing, but it was so in harmony. So the message that they gave me was that my purpose was through music and art. And they also gave me a message from my mentor. He was chosen to be a Kundalini sex guide. You know what I'm saying? That was very weird because he actually had issues around intimacy and sex because he was violated when he was younger. And I think that when I told him that kind of like freaked him out a little bit because there were so many questions around sex that he had. He wouldn't, I could have gave him the answers, but he just didn't want to. It was very hard for us to study under one another because, he would always tell me, he's like, it's so hard for me to teach you because, every time I look at you, you're just so beautiful. It's distracting. It's so distracting to me, and I was like, well, I need you to focus because I need you to teach me, But eventually we ended up giving into our desires or whatever. But, after the situation with the water, I was pretty much done. I was done because it was just so much that he was hiding, and he was so good at hiding. I'm just like, I can't really trust him. I appreciate the experience. I appreciate everything in which that I learned, but my time is over. My time is up in this place, and I feel subconsciously I was saying my time is over here in Africa, in Egypt, wherever I felt like I was, and after that I kind of let go of the Pan-African, religion. I let go of, those communities, those pro-black communities. It was just very oppressed. My experiences there between the men and the women, it was very oppressed. It was very angry. It was so much entitlement. It was so much war, and I'm it was very scarce. I just never understood, like, you're limiting yourself, and you're not teaching yourself to recycle. You, like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not about to go into it. It's just like they weren't very resourceful. Point blank period. People were always complaining about money. People always complaining, oh, black people don't support their own and they don't do this. And I'm just like, you have such an issue with white people, but you attack each other in this community. This is not where I want to be. So I left. And, I dealt with a lot of resentment, and I dealt with a lot of people telling me I was a sellout and that I was European and all this type of bullshit or whatever. But, it is what it is. So that is going to be my time. And until the next time, thank you.